night. I think we live now. Now we're finally live. So I've said again, this is episode 54 of the Beat People Podcast. Welcome to the show. And got my man Ali. What up, brother?
What's going on, brother? How you doing today?
Good, good. And got Ken. What's up, bro?
What's going on, man?
Chilling, chilling. It's a good Saturday.
Yeah, man.
Show is.
Yeah. So interesting. I kind of feel like I want to say this because I was when I just said this before we started. It is a realization. I was like, hey, ain't been no good groove box stuff because it seems like we always talk about modular. Kids like, but we just had the MC 707 and 101. How often you want that? Point well taken. Good point, Ken. So okay, so it's been what, a month now? Do we think those things are taking off like maybe people would have thought?
I haven't really seen anybody using it like that. I've seen like a lot of promo material, but I haven't seen any like, other people like I follow or anything like that messing with it actually.
Yeah, so maybe it's too early, huh?
Yeah, I mean, just a month. I don't know. The smaller one looks like a better deal to me for some reason.
Yeah, I feel like that too.
Yeah.
But are they even available? That's the one thing I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
what
not
I just
sure.
went. I just went to. I'm literally checking them out right now. I'm going on to Chuck Levin's and Sweetwater right now to look for them. So MC 707. Where's it at? So, I mean, you can buy it right now. Yeah,
So they out there.
yeah. It says in stock, available for immediate delivery. So they're out there. But I think after, for one, it is still super early. But
Yep.
I haven't really seen, aside from like influencers, I haven't seen anyone using them that isn't really an influencer at this point. But that
Right.
could be just because they're like, maybe they're just now delivering. I don't know. And also, it hasn't been out that long. So
True.
it's still, it still doesn't seem like something that I'm trying to grab. And at that price point right now, like the current price point, so $1,000, looking at the realistic competition, meaning like people like me that are cheapskates, I'm gonna be looking at like used gear, and at that same price point, you can get like what, like an Akai Force at that same price point,
Yep,
and
yep.
I would probably personally jump towards that before I jump towards the 707. So I think it's still kind of, it sits in an interesting space, and I still haven't seen it do enough like crazy stuff that makes me
Yeah.
like, oh, I need that. Like I haven't seen it do anything that made me like scream, yo, I need that. You know what I mean?
You know
Yeah.
what I think is going to happen though. Yeah, and I definitely know what you mean. But you know what I think is going to happen is I think so. I just looked. The 101 is not yet available, but the 707 is shipping already. I personally think the 101 is going to be a bigger seller, and since that ain't out yet, you just don't see a lot of them yet. But I think once
Yeah.
that 101 has been out in that first year or so, we're going to start to see a lot of those popping up all over the place.
My
Yeah.
issue with that
It's better,
101
better.
is like, dude, if that thing had, and I'm probably going to speak incorrectly again. I need to look it up. But if I recall, it does not have direct sampling inputs on it, right? Like you gotta,
Right. The 101 does not. You
yeah.
have to
So to
sample
me,
audio
like
over
that ruins it.
USB.
Hmm.
That completely, that to me makes it useless for me. Like I don't want. It's the same reason why I would never buy like a Volca sample or anything like that. Like I don't want gear that I can't, like if it's a sampler, I want to be able to sample into it. Like to me,
Right.
it's
That's
completely.
the point.
That's why I
Yeah.
sold my Rhythm MK1, and then ended up getting a Rhythm MK2, was because I was like, oh, I can directly sample in this joint now. Like, you know what I mean? Like to me, gear that has a sampler feature in it and can't actually sample, like from external sources, because I know it can resample or whatever, but like the I,
Yeah,
it
that's
just
not
doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
that's not the business. And
It's
you
Yeah.
know
just
what
not the
that
work.
says to
It's
me?
not the
That
workflow that I want.
it's
That's
like
the issue.
it's like a it's catering to a new form of, to me it feels like it's catering to like anybody that's never really sampled off records and maybe came up sampling off YouTube and
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So it
Yeah.
requires that you're connected to your computer, and then you gotta sample through the USB, and that
Yeah.
seems kind of strange, but
Right, but what if you want to record yourself knocking some wood blocks or something and put
right,
that,
yeah, no doubt. What are you gonna do? Yeah. You got to have your computer involved and a mic connected to the computer. It might
yeah,
have to do some routing and something weird.
yeah, that's too much
So,
work.
yeah, that seems like a lot of work. However, I do like the form factor and all that stuff of that joint. So that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. So, hold on. There is Louder Than Liftoff. I don't know how many people out there know about Louder Than Liftoff, but it's a audio company that does like outboard gear, processors, 500 series stuff.
Hmm.
They have some plugins, but color modules, op amp type stuff. The Silver Bullet is, I'm gonna pull that up. The Silver Bullet is probably what they're most known for, and
Yeah,
that's
and
a
at AES they announced the new joint,
yeah. And the new joint is hold on, let me pull that up. I got it here.
the dual tone.
Yep, it's like a dual tone amp, and it is what on sale with them for 14.99 right now. And while my internet goes slow, I'll come back and try to see if I can share it. What do y'all? So how y'all feel about that kind of stuff? Outboard gear at this point in the game, with so much stuff being in the box, with so much being available in the box.
I don't know. I think sometimes when you're dedicated to one thing, it
Hmm.
just comes out better. You know what I mean? To as far as in the box, when you're in the box, it has a lot going on. You know what I mean? There's so many options and things that you can do, but when you have one dedicated thing, it just lets you focus in on that. And that's the plus that I can say of dedicated stuff. But
Hmm.
also in the box, you have the option of switching and doing other stuff. So
I'm kind of one of those guys where it depends. So like synths, although I enjoy the sound of hardware synths, it's more the workflow thing. Whereas when it gets to preamps, compressors, outboard gear of that sort, I'm the opposite. It becomes about the sound. And I don't like the workflow as much working with exterior preamps and that sort of thing. Like I'd rather just jack right into an audio interface and then have some plugins on it. I like that workflow for doing that kind of stuff. But the sound of the external stuff for processing signals like that, I prefer using
Yep.
external gear. So
And
it
that's I think that's the big selling point of it. That you get something like they even say the this has a thing, a mode called Mojo. Um, Process your two bus individual tracks or microphone sources through any combination of A and N Mojo amps. Um, so you get a lot of tone shaping with this joint. Sweeten tracks with a simple array of tone shaping options, two band EQ.
Pultec
Uh,
inspired, huh?
yeah, tighten up extreme tighten up the extreme bottom end and slightly resonant with like a tape, like tight filter, smooth out digital top end. It seems pretty damn appealing, I'll tell you that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
What's the
Um,
cost on it?
I think regular price is. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm on the
Ooh,
silver.
2,000.
That's the silver bullet. I'm sorry. That's not
and
the one I was
yeah,
trying
that's
to
the
say.
stereo. So if you share my screen, I've got the Chroma Plus up.
So
Here it is. So the regular price is supposed to be 16.49, but it's the sale price right now. The intro price, pre-order price is 14.99.
hmm,
And so what this is like a twin tone amp architecture, and so it has that same Mojo stuff in it, like what we were just talking about. Like the Silver Bullet, Chroma Plus is the only processor of its kind that enables the A or N sonics. With a push button, audition these type of signature sounds during session no longer requires repatching or swapping. Um, and so stereo DI with retro mode.
And it's
Um,
got the color modules.
Yes,
So
Hmm.
that's the thing.
that's
The
one of the
color
main
modules are
things
dope.
about it is that you can use color modules inside it.
Yeah, so you got a super filter color module, a royal blue color module, mass driver color module, a FET filter color module, and a Rogue Tech air color module.
Now,
Hmm.
if I'm correct, these are the same color modules that work in the color palette, so you can put like the tape joint in there and all that other stuff too.
Yeah, this is dope. So
That's dope.
that actually, this seems a little more appealing. The Chroma Plus seems a little more appealing than the Silver Bullet.
Right.
Um, Even though the Silver Bullet is dope, but the fact that you got all this optional stuff that you could throw in there, it's probably only got 2 slots or something, but still, really dope.
Yeah, you can pick how you make it want it to sound.
Yeah, you could really customize how it sounds in here. Um, yeah, pulse color module, a lot of really dope stuff. And the modules are anywhere from 69 to 99. There's a couple of $109 ones, but most of them are like $69 and $99 for $79. A vet filter one is $79.
Yeah.
And so, where's the slots? I don't see slots.
So let me ask you,
Yes.
how would you use something like this? This would be at the end. Like how would you go about using this
You can
module?
use it in a lot of
I
ways,
would
man.
track through it.
So yeah, exactly. You could track
Right.
through it. You could send out and then back in. I mean, you can
I
use
would
it in a lot
even
of ways.
do like you know, processing after the fact. After you've mixed your joint, you got your 2 track. So basically on a 2 track, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because you could throw it on as a 2 track on your bus while you're mixing, but I would even just process through it after the fact and be like,
Right.
yo, I'm just sending these tracks that I've mixed through this joint to give it that extra oomph to color it a little bit,
Yeah.
you know?
It looks like it should accept. I'm trying to find the exact info on it, but it should accept 2 color modules. But that's mainly because it's stereo. So, but it's stereo, and it can also operate as dual mono, or it can operate where you send one mono channel into the other, which is really dope. So,
So that means that you would, if you were using this as a stereo, in the way that Corey was just saying, that you would need two of the same modules then.
yeah, yeah. So it says one analog plug-in slot per channel, which makes sense. So you can have, so it has its own like hardwired built-in drive circuit, and then it
Hmm.
has this plug-in slot, and there you can put in any one of those color modules. And because it's stereo, there's one per channel, so you could have either 2 mono channels that had totally different color circuits in them, or you could put the same color circuit in each one, whatever. But those color circuits are not expensive either.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's pretty dope. I gotta say, man, this thing is like very, very, very appealing to me. Because I've also I've not used any of the louder than liftoff stuff, but everything I've heard from every single person I've ever known who's ever used them swears by them.
That's true. As a matter of fact, my next door neighbor, um, he's a voiceover artist, and they have to be very critical. Like he's a broadcast voiceover artist, TV and all that kind of stuff. They have to be very critical about the quality of their sound because they could go from recording the voiceover to it being on TV as a Taco Bell commercial later today. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there ain't always time to run out to a studio. So he has like a gang of outboard gear. And he told me, he was like, listen, dude, I'm obsessed with all of this stuff like you're obsessed with modular. But if you could only get one thing out of all of this outboard gear, get the Silver Bullet by Louder Than Liftoff. And I'm
Hmm.
thinking that was good advice. And I'm thinking that this twin tone joint or the what are they calling it? The Chroma Plus would be that thing for me. I would throw that right in the rack beneath my Apollo, and it would be go to town time.
Yeah, that looks
Yeah,
dope. It's just like,
and the price is really nice on this one. So this one is only $14.99, and that's for stereo.
yeah.
You're getting two louder than, and it's got a lot of the silver bullet circuitry in it. So I
Yep.
mean, yeah, this actually might end up in my rack because I'm building out for my new room, and this is something that just there's a lot of value per dollar on this one and value per rack space on it too. So
Yep.
I can see this happening in my setup.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yes, offering super definition, punch, low end girth to capture instrument level sources. Um, this DI probably should have been its own product. So it has like stereo DIs just built in that could be their own thing. That's
You
really
get
Yeah.
dope.
you get
Cause
up to
right,
60 dB of gain, which there are ones out there that do higher than that, but I mean 60 dB is plenty, you know.
yeah, cause I right now use my D box to like give my sound some color and stuff, and just
Hmm.
I
And
would definitely go with something like this.
for those that are interested in those color modules, you can get that in both Eurorack and 500 series. Just the color stuff, the color palette. I think they actually stopped making those, but you could still find them around. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I never seen those like the color
I'll
modules.
I'll pull one up real quick.
yeah,
It's actually pretty dope. Let me see
yeah.
this.
Because it was the color palette module that uses, and this is the same stuff because it says you get them from the DIY recording equipment, whatever that site is.
Yeah. So, yeah, first they came out with the 500 series, and then they did a Eurorack version of it as well.
Yeah,
I'll share my screen real quick so you
yeah.
can peep the game over here. Hold on, here we go. All right, you see this? So this is on DIYrecordingequipment.com, and this is their color page here, right? So you can still get these. So the 500 series MK2, it starts at 150. And then you can add in all these different color modules for them, and they have different bundles that you can do as well. But I mean, there's all these different. These will all work in that, you know.
Yo, can we talk about 500 series for a second, man?
Yeah,
Have y'all
yeah.
ever dived into that? Like,
Man, I've avoided it and thought about it and avoided it
yeah,
because I
me
feel like
too.
it's another rabbit hole.
So here's why I've avoided it primarily, right? For a while I've avoided it. It's looking like I'm not going to avoid it anymore. The new studio, I think I am going to have a fairly decent sized 500 series setup. But one of the main reasons why I didn't go that route for a while is because essentially it's like having a 19-inch rack, but your power supply is being shared across them all. So to me, I was like, well, you can buy the rack units for most of this stuff and not share power supply and not have to worry about that. Um, about power draw and it's similar issues that you can have with Eurorack, but admittedly, the 500 series standard is more robust.
Right.
So it didn't fully draw me up until recently, and now it seems like a lot of stuff that's coming out in 500 series is not coming out in 19-inch rack format, and it is kind of a cool format to have. There's a lot better 500 series rack units that are coming out now, meaning cases for the 500 series. So, and there's a lot of really cool options with those cases. Like some of them have summing mixers built in, some of them have audio interfaces built in. There's all kinds of different options on that front. So I think it's something that in the new studio, I'm gonna set aside a small area for some 500 series. Probably like 8 spaces, something like that, between 8 and 10.
Damn, yo, that's a lot.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not that many when you really think about
Because
what's
of
being
stereo.
well, yeah, stereo and really what's being done with it, because more than anything, it's probably going to be used like for drum mic setups and things of that nature. So, um, but using that in combination with 19-inch rack gear, you can get a decent bang for the buck. So that'll probably be the plan there. So, and there's some cool stuff in 500 series that's just really really tempting. And to have the form factor of it being like really accessible on your desk, as opposed to it's all set in the patch bay, and
Hmm.
which that's really my own personal issues of being disorganized.
Ken,
Yo.
I'm just looking at your screen. Man, what's up with the Behringer on the floor back there and those keyboards on the floor?
um
Look, I just look back like, let's make sure.
No, I'm just saying, like, why is it on the floor, bro? Like, your gear's on the floor. And,
Constantly
Well, I
rearranging,
mean,
I bet.
that all ties right back into what I was just saying, which I would kind of prefer if Corey put us back to the screen that we had before.
no,
But yeah,
Boom.
it kind of goes back to what I was saying in that I'm building a new studio. So you know, the new studio is
Oh, the studio's coming along beautifully too.
Yeah.
the new studio is just outside of this room, and it's it's a decent size, but this room that I'm in now is not a decent size. And testing gear and going between different products, it's that kind of thing happens.
So when you're moving over, when you plan to be done?
Well, the ceiling is supposed to be up this week, which it's looking like it's going to go into the early part of next week. And then I still have to do the floor. Then once the floor is done, I can get towards finishing and all that stuff. Electrical's done, installation's done, all that good stuff done. Walls are pretty much up and good, aside from spackling. But and then once I finish the room, and I got to get onto the bass trap build, which 3 of my corners are going to have rather large bass traps built into them, from ceiling to floor, and I'm building custom diffusers as well. So I'll have some custom diffusers and custom absorption on there.
Cool.
So I'm hoping within the next, really by the end of November, I want to have my gear in there, by the end of November. But it'll actually be finished in December.
Okay. Cool.
Hopefully. Fingers
Well, that's
crossed.
dope, man. You made a lot of progress in a short amount of time. So
Yeah, and I mean, keep in mind, this is a room that's been built from scratch, so it's custom framing and everything, exterior door, put it on the inside of my house, all that stuff. So it's just it's been a long-term thing, but the family comes first. So there's been a lot of other stepping stones that have gone on. All right, let's talk about the thing, because I'm going to pull something else up on my screen, Corey, that will go right along with this.
Yeah, I was just looking at this. This looks really dope, and I'm about to start mixing a lot of music. So
this might be right up your alley then.
Yeah,
and people have been wanting this for a long time. So, is it compatible with everything though? Or do you need? I don't know a whole hell of a lot about it. Is with any DAW?
I will hope.
So you throw the console one plugin across each channel, and then it sets up like that, which I don't use console one at this point, but I'm interested in it, and I have a lot of friends who swear by it. Mike from Pad Bangers, he loves console one and uses it all the time.
Dope.
The fact that it didn't do the fader stuff before was kind of a put off to me, and it was funny because literally the week before this came out, I was talking about that, and then I saw this thing drop, and I was like, "Oh man, that's amazing!" So I'm in the same position as Ali. We're both, getting ready to do albums and deal with more mixing and all that stuff. So I was like, "Yo, I need hands-on fader control for my mixing. That's how I like to do it."
Yeah,
and it got me looking at that. And what was the price point on that again? $699.
$599.
Yeah, but I think in the US it's $699.
Oh, is it? No, it says $599.
You might want to be careful about that because they sent an email about it. Hold on, let me pull the email up.
Okay.
They sent a correction email about this. So
Yeah, look, it says works with all major DAWs straight out of the box. No MIDI mapping required.
Yeah, but you got to throw that plugin across everything. So
okay, so does it come with the plugin?
Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, so wait, you got to throw the plugin on every single channel?
Yeah, so console one is basically it's emulating vintage consoles and stuff on it.
Right.
What does it do to processing for all them damn plugins on the device or on your computer?
On your computer.
Yeah.
Oh, so that could get a little flaky.
Well, I mean, if you got
how powerful your computer
I mean, nowadays you should be all right.
It could be okay. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But if that's what you're using, and then you know how it gets when you mix it and you getting plug-in crazy, or you got a lot
Wow.
going on.
Did you see the other one? Like the okay. So this one is the console one, and it has the knobs on it too, and they both go
Yeah,
together,
so
I guess.
they're two separate pieces. The knob one came out first, right?
Okay.
So that lets you do your EQ and everything right there, and it's like having um a physical console, but it's plug-in.
Right.
So it gives you that hands-on control of your console, even though it's a virtual console.
And you could switch your compressors and your like EQs and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I'll have to look into
So
this.
let me. Oh, here it is. So soft tube.
You see it on there, Ali? Yeah,
Okay, here it
hold
is. Yeah. So US map
Yeah.
price is $699. It says, "Thanks so much for your enthusiasm around Console Fader 1. We want to clear up any confusion that may have caused our official press release and pricing. Quoted RRP of $599 is the international price, but the USA price, including tariffs, is $699."
Uh,
but
I
that's just for the
I guess
fader joint,
I'm
right?
not
And
even
then
going to
if
get
you
into the political aspect of this. Yeah, that's that. But yeah, so thanks to tariffs, it's $699 in the US.
thanks tariffs.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Punch
Yeah.
tariff
So
in the
six
mouth.
ninety nine for that, and then for the other piece,
Yeah. How much is that? I'm guessing there's another 6.99.
Hold on, I can pull up the Sweetwater or something. Sure.
Oh, that's bad, yo. Why y'all show me this?
So anyway, so here's the thing. Here's what I wanted to explain though. Um,
it's 549 that one.
Okay.
so let me share this real quick. Pull up my screen. Ciao. There we go. So this is another option for if you don't want to have the plugins taking up any space like that. And depending on what DAW you use also is also going to dictate some other nice things about it. But Presonus has their Fader Port 8 for $599.
And
So
that's
this is
ugly
like
though.
so here's the thing about this though. The differences are one, you don't have to throw the plug-in across everything with this. But if you use it with Studio One, it really, really seamlessly interacts with Studio One. It'll work with all your other DAWs also. But here's some of the things that I like about this. It has the scribble strips above each fader, which I love that. Now in the console one, that stuff is on your screen. So like, you would see with the user interface on your computer, that's where you would see your scribble strip. Whereas on this, it's right there. I kind of prefer it laid out like this. Um,
I don't know, Ken. That's just ugly to me compared to the other one.
so
Right.
yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be an aesthetics difference, but I'm talking more about functionality here. And for me, like, I'm all about like, functionality, but I'm not saying one's better than the other. Like, let's not
Oh,
get into that. I'm just saying
mhm.
I'm looking at the competition. Like, which one am I going to go for?
So my thing is how good that plugin sounds because is it like waves level? You know what I mean?
Oh, soft tube stuff is amazing. Like, I'll be the first person to tell you that. Like, I
Yeah.
love soft tubes plugins. They
It kind of
sound
looks nice too. I
absolutely
mean, it's a
fantastic.
nice size and everything. If you look at
Yeah,
compared
like
to it's a nice
it,
size
it,
and
it gives me a modular feel.
yeah.
I would say that soft tubes plugins are probably like in my top 3 as far as like sound quality wise.
Right, right.
They are really, really, I mean,
Damn,
great
man. I
sound.
wish y'all wouldn't have shown me this today.
And Shazam's in here saying that it's very light.
We didn't. I don't want to take the blame for that. You seen this in your sleep, abracadabra.
Yo, you know I canceled that order on that Black Noir too, so
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
maybe this is why I canceled it.
Right, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, the thing about this that has me interested though is I like the small form factor of it. Like
Yeah.
that is pretty, that's pretty interesting. And then I'm pretty sure it does all your transport control right on there too, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, just play, stop. Looks like it.
Yep, it's all there.
Now the
So altogether, it's
transport
about
control,
it's
the
699
transport
plus
control on the fader.
549, so just over $1,000. You could have this set up right here for mixing.
Yeah.
The transport control, yeah, and if you go to Sweetwater, it says $699 for it. So
Yep.
for that fader one, but yeah, the transport control on the Personas one, I think looks a little bit nicer to me. It looks
Okay, but
it's a little bit larger, and
you
you
paid
know,
$1,000 for both of them. Is what plugins is it coming with? That's my
it's
question.
that
That's what I'm
console
looking
one
for.
suite.
So the console one is just a suite. It's included everything, like all the different compressors and EQs and stuff like that. Or is it
Yeah.
just one compressor that comes with it, one EQ?
So it comes with two
That I don't
component
know.
modeled console emulations. All right. Um, what's the? I'm trying to see the other stuff, but yeah, it's basically like having two consoles that you can switch between.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Yeah, I don't know. I may have to try it though.
Yeah.
Wait.
Two
So
analog. It says two analog console emulations, tube and discrete, and is compatible with Soft Tube's Console One expansions such as American Class A, British Class A, SSL, XL, 9000, K Series. So like, there's expansions that you can pay more for as well. And apparently, Siri wants to get in on the action. Okay.
so, but I couldn't use like my wave plugins that I already have with this thing.
You could still keep them on your channel strip. I don't know how you would
Yeah, I
set
think you could put
it
them
up
on
for controlling that stuff.
your channel script,
Right,
because
but I
this will
couldn't
just be a
control them.
plug-in, and then those will be the separate plugins.
Right, but you couldn't control them, right? With
Oh,
this.
I don't know. That's a good question.
What I really want to know, here's the thing that I really want to know, and this is kind of a useless topic on here because I just don't have it. So like, I'm speaking from a question standpoint with no answers. What I want to know is, can I use other fader controllers, with console one in the same way? And if so, then what's, aside from the form factor, is there any benefit to me getting this, or should I just get the Personas and have the Personas control the console one knob portion? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
is it completely interacting in both ways? I don't know. So I got to look into that, and I'll probably know more about it next week, because I am actively looking into this stuff, and I'll probably end up in the next like 2 months. I'll probably end up buying one of these solutions. I just don't know which one yet.
So it's interesting. I want to just call out and point out Shazam, the iPad producer, that's in the chat. He is definitely a fan of this joint, the console one.
Yeah.
He says nothing sounds like it. It sounds better. It's better than the fader port. He has both fader port and console one.
Which fader port does he have? Is he saying it in there? Because I had the fader port 1, but that's nothing like the fader port 8 and 16. Which that's the other thing, is that they do have a fader port 16. Which, if you really want to have a lot of faders, you can go that route. So,
Yeah, but with this one, you can just scroll down, right? Like,
yeah,
there's a scroll.
You can
Yeah.
bank over. Yeah, you can bank.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll show this other one real quick.
Man.
Now, the 16 is also $1,000. So
Mhm.
here it is right here, Corey, if you want to share that. So there's the fader port 16.
Man, my Sweetwater account was just going down, B.
And confirm it does have transport on the console one.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw it on there. It's kind of tiny. Whereas, like, to me, the fader port 16 looks more like a dedicated mixing area, whereas the faders for the console one are much more compact, which is not a bad thing. It's just a different workflow. You know what I mean? It's like, one is more relaxed and you have this huge surface for it, and the other one is like, hey, you can have this mixing surface, plus you can still have your other gear, which is cool. Yeah, fader port 1. I have a fader port 1 also. Shazam's in the chat here talking about the fader port 1. The fader port 1 is not really the same as having a fader port 8 or console 1 fader. I have the fader port 1. It's okay, I guess, but I don't like it. It doesn't give me, to me, it doesn't do much different for me than a mouse does. Like, it's just one fader. I need at least 4 faders when I'm mixing like that. Like, more often than not, I'm mixing 3 channels at once in relation to each other.
So, yo, I want to jump over to this thing. I'm going to share it right now. I don't know much about it, but I wanted to jump over to it. But just before I want to take, see that does look good, but I'm gonna take that out there. Hold on. Let me share my screen because I really don't even the strata. Okay, there's this joint called a strata here. It's on Kickstarter. A new way to play with Ableton Live.
I don't
And
think I've looked at this one yet.
let's see. Okay, I'm just gonna scroll up through here.
I'm gonna pull it up real quick.
Envision Sound Technologies, a musician producer tech startup formed to bring the first public, the first product public called Strata, next generation control system for Ableton Live 9 and 10. It's on Kickstarter, and
It looks
it
crazy.
it looks wild, yo. Hold
I'm
on,
looking at it, and while I like having some larger pads on there, with a mix of the smaller pads also, man, I don't know that
It's confusing almost. Like, I don't know. I guess it's one of those things where you have to learn it, but
yeah, I'm trying to get a good picture of it so we can pull up a really good picture
yeah,
of it.
these pictures don't look great.
I'm looking at the I'm on Matrix Synth looking at it, and I'm like, I don't know, man. It's not really jumping out for me. Like, and Grant, I'll be the first person to tell you, like, I'm not a big Ableton user. I'm trying to get myself to use Ableton more. But yeah, I mean, the Push 2 is a great controller for Ableton. I don't really like the smaller pads don't really bother me that much, so this thing doesn't really. I don't know. I don't know that if that I would like this thing more than a Push 2.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
So yeah, they're on here talking about it. And it's interesting that they're comparing it. I don't know. It looks different.
Yeah.
It's a little odd for me.
And like all of those knobs at the top, it's like it's too many next to each other. How would you figure out? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a
it's not
lot.
for
It's
me.
almost like
Yeah, it's not for me. I'll be honest with you. It's just
so it's almost like what it looks like they did is they added 16 pads of like a typical MPC sort of thing. Then you know how you get those specialized keyboards for like video editing and even they
yeah,
have them for all the DAWs. That's what it looks like, so that you got all the shortcuts as a button, and then you got all those knobs to control different things. That looks like a lot, yo. What's it going for? Early
500,
bird
I think.
450, 550 regular.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, they're getting a lot of press for it. I mean, they've been on all the major players, and they showed this at NAM, Summer NAM. So I'm sure they'll be at regular NAM, Winter NAM.
The
this
name that
coming
people care
January.
about.
Yeah, the for real NAM.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not no
When
thanks.
is that? Actually,
Um,
in
What,
December.
NAM?
Yeah, or
it's in
January.
January,
January. End of
late
January.
January.
Okay.
End of January.
Cali, right?
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
Anaheim.
I'll be there.
I'll see you there.
Word.
Do I have to get a special pass to come or no?
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
for you. Like,
We'll
you know,
talk, bro.
they
Yep.
they they
Yep.
tend to block out Ali. Like, they're like, nah, you can't come in here.
Where we?
Yeah, yeah, they got your picture. They had your picture up last year. Ali like,
Yup.
no.
Yup.
Nah. Nah.
Do not let this man in. Put your Sweetwater card at the door.
There you go. I'm gonna pull this joint down out of here. So yo, let's all right. So it seems to be in the crew. There's a lot of modules that have their airtime with us for, you know what I'm saying? Like there'll be the hot module within the polos that we on. So I'm
Yep.
curious. There's a few modules that's coming in and out of people's labs. What's the latest joints y'all got coming or have had? Uh, let's see what we got going on. So Ken, you got, what is that? The Delta Sep?
Hold on, yeah, I'm gonna try and focus. There we go. Okay, there it goes. So I don't know how well you can see this stuff. Maybe I'll stand it up. Hold on. Current situation. This is so. A lot of the times I like to put my modules in this 2-row, so that I can get more familiar with stuff and have some fun with it. Right now, the primary players is the Radical Technologies Delta Sep A, and still the ER301, which is like, man, this thing is the gift that keeps on giving. I just updated it. I've been so focused on sound design and whatnot of Hydrasynth that I haven't really had time to do the module stuff like normal. So I'm just now kind of getting back to that. So I updated the ER301 with the latest firmware, and it added a ton of stuff like wavetable oscillator and a bunch of new envelopes, a lot of new effects, all kinds of cool stuff. So I've been using it, and the Delta Sep is like, so the Delta Sep A, it got like module and mono synth of the year at NAMM, and it got all these awards. And the thing is like, even with all that being said, because it sounds really good, right?
Oh, it sounds better than really good from what I've been hearing.
Yeah.
But the thing is that it's deceptively deep. Like, I haven't done like a YouTube video or anything like that on it yet, because I'm still learning, like, to dive deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And they just released an update for it to version 1.5, like literally just the other day. So now it's got, in addition to the delay, what's it got? It's got tape, delay, chorus, phaser, and flanger. It also has reverb in addition to that. So meaning like you could still be using those effects, but you can have reverb going on at the same time. And you do that just by holding down the paraphonic button and adjusting the effect knobs, and you'll be adjusting the reverb. So they added that. They added a bunch of like behind the scenes routing. So like you can send the LFO anywhere you want. You can send the envelope anywhere you want without needing a patch cable. They did like all this extra stuff in there, man. And I'm still like, slow down, dude. I'm trying to catch up. So that's been my jam lately, is messing with the Delta Sep A and just really kind of digging into it as much as possible.
That's dope.
Let me ask you though. I was at Perfect Circuit, and I picked up that Delta Sep A, and it was heavy, bro. I mean, it's sitting there looking like, it's about the size of, say, the Mother 32 or something like that.
So
but
that
joint is heavy, like.
That happened the other day in regards to what Ali just said about the Neutron that was on the floor over there. So they're about the same size physical, but the Neutron in its case is lighter than the Delta Sep A is with no case on it. Like it's crazy. Like the metal panel on it, the knobs, everything on it, it's built really thick. Yep. And it's a heavy module.
And so it's a heavy module. But that means it's really, I felt it. It's built really well. It's a dope build. There's no ricketiness about that thing. But here's the other thing. We know people that have put the Model D, the Behringer Model D, in their cases, and it totally sucks up all the power and kills stuff if you're not careful. How's that thing on the power when you rack it in your Eurorack?
I forgot the exact numbers, but it's really not that bad. It's
not 1,000 milliamps.
No, it's not as bad. I want to say it was like, oh god, what was it, like 500? Hold on, actually, I do have the manual right here. I forgot I had the PDF for it up. I'll tell you in a second. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
All right, so for me, I have a Mordax data coming because I really need to be able to see what's going on with my waveforms. You know what I mean? I just feel like that's going to give me more power over controlling and, just controlling my modulations and stuff like that. Seeing exactly where I need to be visually, I think is going to help me a lot. I did grab a... what the hell? Endorphins Black Noir the other day, but I canceled the order. I'm gonna probably order it again next week. I woke up the next morning after I ordered it, and I'm like, man,
I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I was like, man, I don't know,
Hey, I
but
got the numbers here for you.
all right, what's them?
All right, so 12 volt is 140 MA, negative 12 volt is 80 MA. So not much.
What? That's it?
That's it.
140
140.
and 80?
Yep. That's right off of their manual, man. And he even gives you like power calculations and stuff on this thing. So yeah.
Dope.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just haven't been seeing. What's up, D? Still, I just haven't been seeing anything that I'm like, oh, I need that right now, like right now. But I think that ER301 needs to be in my setup, man.
Makes one of us, because I'll be honest with you, that Rossum, that the Linnaeus filter. Oh,
Yeah.
I want that, man.
I haven't
that
really
Linnaeus,
paid much attention to it.
dude. Man.
You know what I
Yeah.
can tell you? I kind of, and I haven't mentioned it, but I kind of regret getting rid of the assimilator.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of liked it, man. When I looked
That's
at
because you haven't got. That's because you didn't get a 301 to replace it.
Right.
Yeah, maybe that.
Right.
But it sounds so good. You know what I mean? There were some things that were kind of quirky about it, but it just really sounded really nice. But I mean, I don't regret it enough to go get another one. So,
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I'll just say this. Like I keep looking at that thing. Yeah, I keep looking at that at the assimilator, and man, then I start messing with the 301, and it just flies right
about
out
it after that, right?
But that Linnaeus is dope, man. Like that thing, that's the first, like one of the first unique filters that I've seen in a while that really like piqued my interest. There's a couple out there that are kind of getting me excited. Like the stereo dipole looks really dope. I'm a filter nerd. Like I love good filters. So stereo dipole looks really dope. Linnaeus looks really dope.
Stereo dipole is definitely dope. That's my
I'm still waiting to see what's
right
up with that one from Zeta Ohm. That he's got a dual peak filter that looks really cool. That's also stereo.
Yeah, I thought he was closer to coming to market with it.
Because I seen it in Berlin. It was pretty dope.
I gotta reach out to Tenkai and see what's up. But that thing looks really nice.
It's like a switching filter. It's like he wants you to like switch filters in the. It's like I don't know. There was some weird. I don't know if y'all can bring up the pit. Let me see if I can bring up the picture. But it was like
it's up on Modular Grid, I believe.
Yeah, there was some weird like switching mode where it would scan through the filter types.
And hey, we talked about that phono cut last week, right?
I can't find it.
Phono cut?
Yeah, that turntable, that cuts records.
We didn't talk about that last week.
Hold on, we didn't talk about. Hold on, because we talk so much on Marco Polo that I forget what the heck we bring up. Here, I'll share my screen real quick.
So
and this
is off. Jump off though. I want to say like Ali was talking about the Black Noir.
Yeah.
And Aaron Afrorack, for those that know, have been talking to me about Black Noir for months, especially over the summer and stuff.
And Steel.
But Aaron has really been like, you would think he invented this joint. He's been all over it like that. Yeah. One good video from Steel after he got it this week, and I knew I had to have it. That was just it's a wrap that needs to be there.
Yep.
It's a dope module. Okay,
So what the biggest reason why I canceled that order is because I didn't know if I was gonna like that snare enough for me to spend $500 on a module that's all set sounds.
Yeah.
But I heard another video from D Still and I was like,
right,
goodness,
it's a whole nother deal, right?
Goodness, because I wanted to hear that snare, man. Like everything else, I know the kick sounds good, I know all the other percussion sounds good, but the snare was my thing. It's like, can I make this fit into my music? You know what I mean? Because it's more of a like, old school, like D Still was saying, like what was it, a 707? Yeah.
Oh no, he
not the 707.
It was something else.
Yeah,
I can't remember what he said though.
CR7.
Yeah.
CR78.
Yeah, CR78. There we go.
So yeah, I'm
But yeah,
looking
it
forward to
sounded
it. He has
nice.
some really dope stuff, and I think they did such a dope job with the effects on there. And so that's the thing. I was planning on getting the Milky Way
Hmm.
with their effects, with endorphins effects, but when I realized all those effects are on the the Black Noir, it
Yep.
didn't make sense. It was kind of like, oh well, why just buy the effects if I'm also interested in the drums? This is just put that money towards it and you get two for one kind of.
Yeah, see, for me, I have the Grand Terminal, so I have those effects already. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have their whole new lineup that's coming out in the black. I mean, in the Grand Terminal right now. So it has the dual the function generator, the effects,
Uh-huh.
the filter, and yeah, that's pretty much their breakout. I mean, there's a couple extra modules like the power and stuff like that, but their new line of modules is pretty much the Grand Terminal broken into pieces. So I already know that I like their stuff. So yeah, man, it's coming through.
Yeah, they seem to be killing the game right now.
I pulled up the so this is the Zeta Ohm ZM
Yeah, there it goes.
stereo morphing filter. So this one looks really interesting to me too. So this one, which isn't out yet, and stuff that's not out is always interesting, right?
I mean, I heard it. I heard it in Berlin, so it was a pretty dope filter.
Yeah.
Um, it's weird though. It's different. I'll say
Yeah, and
that.
that's why I like it, and it's the same with
What
the
makes it
Linus.
weird though?
All right, so you see all of these lights here, right? Like in
Yeah.
the middle. So I think there's a CV that allows you to switch to like comb through the different filter types.
Oh,
While like with CV, you know what I mean?
okay. Yeah,
So
that's dope.
and it like switches them on the fly, and you can switch them rhythmically and stuff like that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, like he did a lot of work on it behind the scenes, and I had talked to Tenkai a good bit about what he was working on, and he had shown me some really early things, and it's got me very interested. So, um, this thing looks really dope. Linneus looks really dope. Stereo dipole looks really dope. Like there, most of the filters that are really kind of getting my interest right now are these stereo filters that are kind of doing multiple things. The Linneus is interesting to me in the fact that because it's through zero, you can do things with the resonance that you're not really doing with most typical filters in keeping a specific tone but modulating around it and kind of doing some interesting things. So and I have the evolution. I love the evolution. I wish it was more ergonomic, but you know the Linneus looks a little bit better ergonomically than the evolution in my opinion. And I see Sweeter Than Anything's talking about the Morpheus in there. That's the other filter from them that I would really like to have as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
No, it's not the same as a morphing filter from Buchla. I don't think. I think it's a pretty different type of morphing, really.
Yeah, that ZMF, that's pretty interesting. I'm interested now. I mean, I remember him seeing it, but when you all are talking about the way morphing through different types of filters, and it sounds
And you
really
get these
interesting.
dual
Now,
peaks
is
out
this
of it.
just a prototype look, or is it how it's going to look? Because
That's the
a
prototype.
that's a vast departure from, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's from
The
the.
Fluxus one.
Yeah, I think it's a prototype.
Okay,
Yeah, but even so, I don't think he's gonna.
he's not going to go that far.
I think he's trying to make this one a little bit less overstated, as we'll say, for the
But at the
panel.
same time, though, I hope he at least keeps the black panel and gold trimmings going. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to, because I think that uniformity makes sense. And
Yeah,
I guarantee you, if he has that black panel gold writing on it, and then when you see that sitting next to the Fluxus one, I feel like people will be like, "Oh, Fluxus." People that didn't like the Fluxus one's look might be like, "Oh,
right.
Fluxus one makes sense now."
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to see this in kind of black and gold or black. You know, like
Yeah.
yeah, I want it in a dark panel, but I don't really. I don't know. Panels don't bother me all that much. Like they bother some people, so it's
Oh
not.
yeah, it definitely bothers some people because some people was bombing on the Fluxus one, and you know what's messed up about that? It's because the Fluxus one is really dope, and people can't get beyond what it looks like to
That thing is
know
so
that.
slept
yo,
on,
it's
man.
one of the coolest looking modules. How can you like hate on it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's one
people
of the
do,
most
man. People
different
do,
looking
and I love
modules.
it. And when I
I
use
mean,
it, it's inspiring to look at. Like when it's in your case, like it's an inspiring module to touch, and it feels good on your hands. Like the way the
right.
buttons
It
are,
actually
it
does.
actually does feel
I
good.
think people just really love the sterile hospital look. You know
Yeah,
what I
Yep,
mean?
yeah,
Like
that's what it
it's
is. That's what it is for real. Like
like
people,
yeah.
get some flavor, some coolness in there, man. And I like that he brought that. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
It
so
is a
this is
module that
something that
stands
came
out
up.
in a good way to me. If you
This
ask
is
me,
something
it
that
stands
came
out
up
in a
on
good
our
way.
Marco Polo, man. So we were talking about a recent module that I said, I'm not usually one to criticize module panels, but I find like horrible. And I really don't like the Mimeophone panel. Like I really don't like it. And it's not so much that it's got that typical make noise scribble all over the place so much is as it is there's certain aspects of the panel that I think are purposely obtuse. Like there's certain things on the panel, certain markings on the panel that are designed to make you be like, "Oh, what's that?" Like I don't understand that. And I don't like that. I don't like that.
Mhm.
I don't like you trying to make people be like, "What the hell?" So like there's in the lower left-hand corner of it, let me pull that thing up. There's some marks on it. Oh man, I got water from my whiskey on my trackpad, so it wasn't working.
Water from my whiskey on my
It
trackpad.
was
That sounds like a country
condensation.
song.
It was from the bottle. It was condensating because I had the bottle cold.
I got water from my whiskey on my trackpad while I was busy. That's
Oh
what it
my
sounds like.
god.
Old country song. That's gonna be a hit, man. I don't care what you say.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna say the same thing that I said to Steele. You're culturally appropriating bad music. Stop it. Where is it at? Make noise. And the reason I should also clarify the reason why this module came up in discussion on Marco Polo was because Ski Beats has sold his Magneto
Can't believe it.
and said that he's getting what he wanted from Magneto out of the Mimeophone quicker and more directly.
Yo, I'm not gonna front.
Share my
He
screen.
is not the first person I've heard say that.
Yeah, exactly.
And when that person told me, somebody told me the same thing, and I was like, damn, word, maybe I should check it out. And then if that's the case, I could sell Magneto. Then the person kind of backed it back and said, well, I don't want to be the reason you're selling your Magneto.
Right. I mean, look, my Magneto's never going anywhere. But when I went to Super Booth and I seen what's the make noise dude?
Tony?
Yeah, I seen Tony messing with this thing. I wasn't impressed, and maybe it was because of it wasn't like
Maybe it was the presenter and not the module.
right.
Yeah, because it depends. Because I mean, sometimes at those conferences, there's a very, the music that's made is a certain taste, right? And if it's not your taste, it may not display the module in the best way.
Right. It was like some blips and bloops and stuff. So I
Yeah.
mean, like that's cool, but it didn't. It didn't sound super cool to me. You know what I mean? For $400, I was like,
Yeah.
So here's the thing. And I think, you guys can see my mouse. So this area right here is ridiculous to me because it doesn't really give you a great indication of what's going on from the panel. And it just looks like a mess on the panel to be a mess on the panel. Part of me is like, oh, cool. It almost looks like somebody like let some graffiti kid go nuts on a panel, right?
But that's the typical panel for make
From sure, but it's so overly busy that all these little lines in here and
it's
this
because it's so small.
It's so busy on such a small panel that it's like, man, it just looks to me like it's obtuse for the sake of being obtuse. But that being, and I'm one of the weird people who actually enjoys like the way Maths looks, for instance. You know what I mean? And I actually like the way the Woggle Bug looks. Like, so it's not that I like the whole like LED shining through the panel thing that they have going on here, but I don't know, man. Just something about this just looks like somebody went nuts with one of those white ink pens on a panel and just didn't care. I don't know. So it's just, and don't get it twisted. It's not enough to prevent me from wanting to buy one.
So is this really a delay or is it a repeat?
Yeah, it's a delay. It is a delay. It was sort of modeled on a couple of different types of delays that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it can do some things that are not typically delay, functions, but at the core, it's a delay that does a few different types of delays. So like something like a tape delay, something like a uh, certain kind of digital delay. They interviewed what's his name? I'm sorry, I forgot his name. That works with them and does all that delay stuff. He did the Morphogene as well. I can't think of his name, but they interviewed him.
Tom Erb?
Yeah, yeah, Tom Erb. He talked specifically about the the types of delays he modeled it on, and one was a 301, the Roland 301 joint. Another one was a digital 19-inch rack delay. It had some interesting characteristics, and then he added some stuff in there that was just kind of like some weird buffering things and zone stuff. So yeah, it's definitely a delay, but it does some stuff that's not really characteristic of a delay too.
I just feel like it's a tad pretentious for what it is. You know what I mean? Like the panel design. That being said, I still want one. I still want to mess with it. I don't know. The price point on it, I'm not sure that I love. I really enjoyed the Magneto a lot. And if Ski's telling me like, yo, like I sold the Magneto for this thing because it gets me there, I'm really interested to see how I like it, because I had the Magneto in my rack for a while, and I really enjoyed it. So and I've been considering buying another one. So I may have to try this first and see if I like it more or not. But I was really surprised by that when he was like, yo, I like this more than the Magneto.
Yeah, I was surprised too. Like, damn.
Yeah, so that is very surprising. But it's like I said, he's not the first person I've heard say it. And to that point, one thing that I can say about Magneto, I think Magneto is a mess under the panel, and it's a huge module. If I could get even approximate to Magneto at half the space, that's a big thing, because Magneto takes up a lot of space for a live case. Huge. Like a studio case, good, but for a live case, it kind of takes up a lot of space.
True.
So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's got a nice. The Mimeophone has a nice form factor to it. The Magneto kind of, I was put off by how big it was, but when you actually use it, it's so like well spaced, and yeah, I really like. I could see me putting the Magneto in one of those 4MS pods, but I think it might be too thick for that. Well,
they got the newer ones that came out, right?
Yeah, you're right. They have bigger ones now. Yeah, but that thing, I could see that being in its own standalone box for me. That thing just sounds amazing, and it's basically the same with the Volante pedal, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Ugh. Which, by the way, I have to give you your Big Sky back, but I'm just not.
Yeah, you don't have to finish that sentence, because you're just gonna say something that's gonna mean that you ain't gonna.
I'm just not in a rush.
That's all you gonna do.
I'm just not in a rush, is all I'm saying. Like,
right.
Man, I'll be honest with you, man. Like, it's. So I have the H9 and I'm really enjoying it. And I plan on showing some use case stuff with that soon. I still think I'm gonna look into the what is it, the Empress reverb, and I want to AB that with the Big Sky, because the Big Sky still gives me that special something that I like. So yeah, it's
man. You need to get a Zoya, man. You could just make that reverb with the Zoya.
The lack of onboard knobs is what irks me about that.
Lack of onboard knobs, you can make the knobs.
No. What are you talking about on the Zoya though, right?
I know, but it's on the pads. You hit the pad and you turn the knob.
That's true.
It's just like having that one knob. Literally
everything. It's the data knob. Yeah.
And you hit whatever pad.
You hit the pad. And you turn the knob, right? All right. Hold on.
Look how frustrated he is. He's so mad at me right now.
Yeah. Look, you done made him mess up everything.
He said, hold on.
All right, listen. So you have all your knobs, bro. You hit this. Oh, I wanna change the delay. Oh, I wanna change the feedback. Oh, I wanna change the mod rate. Whatever. It's all there.
That's
All right,
funny.
maybe I'll buy one. You know what? I got an idea. He's killing himself over there. All right. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. You send me $50, I'll go buy one.
All right, you send me 100 and I'll buy that Studio One console or that
Fair enough.
console
Fair enough.
one.
The wait, why y'all math is so like that? It ain't none of that gonna get y'all none of that.
It's all about justification, baby.
Right, like he gave me $50 for this.
Yeah, for the
It'll help.
$50 discount code.
Baby,
Right.
I had to buy. He gave me $50 that could only be used towards that. I had to do it. Otherwise,
Right.
I'm the idiot.
Yeah, he gave me $50 towards a $1,000 thing, so I had to buy it.
That's right. That's how it works in his household.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's
I'll
hilarious.
say the Zoya. The thing to me is like, as much as I love the 301, the 301 is all about like digging in and building your own custom stuff. Zoya is the same way,
Yeah.
and like, man, yeah, I just keep trying to psych myself out to get
so
one.
look, I'm gonna be 100 with you. I have not dug into the Zoya at all. I've been literally using it like a normal effects. Like I'll just
Mhm.
go in there, I'll drop a delay, I'll drop a reverb, I'll drop a flanger or a tremolo or something like that, and then maybe like a cabinet sim, and then I'm good. I'm not like going crazy. I'm literally just using it as like another effects module that I can, customize to what I want to be. So I haven't gone in and like made any sequencers or anything like that. That's not really what I want it for. I just
I
want it.
actually was pretty surprised to see so many people are using the sequence and stuff and not really making incredible. Well, people are, but it seems like there's more people doing sequencing stuff and internal synth stuff than they are making incredible effects change
Right.
because it's billed as like that the ultimate effects module that you know
Right.
what I mean, build your own things, and people are more or less using it like, yo, it's a dope sequencer and synth
It
internally.
does do that thing where I really wanted a Critter and Guitari organelle for a long time, and the fact that it kind of does a lot of a lot, the whole what is it called? What's that code type called that it can run?
Oh, um, yeah, me too.
Yeah, that. Uh,
Play something? What is it?
oh
I
god,
don't know.
not Max. What is it? You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Anyway,
Uh,
so the
But
fact that it can run those has me very interested. But then the organelle version 2 is out, and I'm like, ooh, I want that. Pure data. That's it. Thank you,
pure
pure
Marco.
data,
data.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marco for the win. He gets the prize. Uh,
Word.
yeah. So
Um,
the Zoya definitely interests me, and you two both have it, and Steele has it, and I'm left out.
Yeah. It's
what?
dope, man. It's dope.
I
Oh,
don't like being
Zoya?
left out.
Yeah. Sounds
Yo,
great on the grandmother too, bro.
are you still using your black box much? And how are you getting along with that thing?
I was using it more when I was traveling, but you know what was cool is I had lunch with Aaron from 1010 Music, and he gave me some one-on-one, like, yeah, just some quick run around on it, and so I got like a five things video that's coming on it, five things that I really dig about it, that is actually pretty dope, like the granular stuff. I wish it had more built-in effects, but it doesn't. It would be really dope if there were more built-in effects. I would love to see that come to it. But yeah, it's a really powerful little box, man.
So Aaron Higgins, the creator of that, he seems to be pretty on point as far as updating his modules and that sort of thing.
hmm
So I would wonder if that's something that he updates on it as far as like doing effects. Does it have any reverbs or anything like that?
It has a delay and a reverb basically, and that's pretty much it. But you can assign it to the different pads, and you can get some pretty good stuff out of it. And so another thing is what really sounds good is doing a sample pad, putting it as granular, um, and then throwing a delay on that while you kind of modulate the movement of the grains. It's real dope to have
That
that
the
in a little
granular
touchscreen
stuff
box
has me
like that.
really interested. Yeah, the
Yeah.
granular stuff, and that's fairly newer to that platform, right?
Yeah, it's just a few weeks. Like
Yeah, so
it's
that's what I'm
probably not
saying.
even a
Like,
month old.
and knowing his history, like I'm actually planning on doing an interview with him soon because he actually has a really deep synth history as far as like other products that he's done that people probably aren't aware of. So I kind of want to do an interview with that guy.
Hmm.
But yeah, the idea that like he's the guy behind it, it's like when you know that there's certain really interesting engineers behind products and developers behind products, you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I kind of want to get that because I know that this isn't just some chump that's going to release a product and then it's going to disappear. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely
this
know
guy's
that with
legit.
him.
You know?
Yep. He actually, you know what? When I sat with him for lunch, I was like, damn, this should be on the Beat People podcast
Right.
because I was kind of digging in and finding out more about him and companies that he's owned before that in music purchased and that he created companies that in music has purchased. And so you'll probably, I would imagine, I don't know much about the products that came from the company that they purchased, but I would imagine they purchased it so that they could use his products in their other, because that's how in music does. In music
Yeah.
purchases a company, and then next thing you know, all that company stuff ends up in the MPC.
Yeah, exactly.
You
For
know what I'm
those who don't know, In Music is basically who owns Akai, Newmark, Alesis. Who else? Do they still own Pro Tools?
Who?
Pro
Pro
Tools.
Tools? I don't
Avid.
know, but they do. They did.
They owned Avid at one point. I don't know if they still
Hmm.
do or not. Anyway,
Yeah,
they
I don't
own a
know if they
whole.
do.
It's a whole conglomerate. You know what I mean?
Yes, and
It's kind of like how
Alesis, they
Behringer
own
has
Alesis, and
Behringer is Music Tribe, and they've got Midas and all that stuff. It's kind of the same thing, except it's in music is a different.
and what I love about it the most is that Roger Lynn has eternal beef with the dude that owns in music.
Yeah. Well, he's not the only one. From what I understand, a lot of people do. So,
Yeah, it's true.
and
Really?
it's kind of like a lot of these heads of these companies
Why?
rub a
Because of
lot
the
of people the wrong
MPC?
way. So
Well, yeah, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna find a link to the
I'm
Roger
not.
Lynn
Listen, put it this way:
interview.
I'm not going to put my friends on blast that have beef with that guy. So I'm not going to comment any further on it. But I know a lot of people who have beef with that guy. So I'm just not even going to go down that road.
Well, I'm gonna put the link to the interview on B-Boy Tech Report with Roger Lynn because he'll tell you himself what he got beef with him for.
Yeah,
Word.
I mean you can Google it, and it's a very there's a yeah, it's a common thing. But I mean,
Yeah,
this is also one of those things where I try to be like, even when I hear like a lot of the negative things a lot of these heads of companies do, I'm also like trying to not be overly judgmental about a lot of these guys
yeah,
because
because business is business, and I don't know the inner workings of their business, right? Like
there's
it's
always
one of those
there's always
things.
two sides to a story, and I'm not necessarily saying that I don't take up the side of my friends that have specifically had these interactions. I'm just saying that, for instance, and I think maybe this is something we should bring up on the show, is the whole VCV MyRack thing, which we can get into in a minute. But my point being is like there's a lot of like of the fan base and community base of like synthesizers and drum machines and all that stuff that will champion one person and put down another person when they don't realize that like a lot of the times the people that they champion have done some really shitty things too. You know what I
That
mean?
is similar to the stuff that they put
And a
down.
lot of the
Yeah.
times the people that are like, trying to be the bigger person or whatever about it just simply don't speak on it. Like,
Hmm.
a lot of the negative thing, there are certain people that are held up in the community as saviors of synthesis and saviors of drum machines and saviors of this and that. But I know from behind the scenes that they've done some nasty, nasty things. But you know what? We just don't talk about it.
Hmm.
So I don't like the whole idea of like, oh, put the public drama out there and then let the community be judge, jury, and executioner on it because it's like
Yeah,
you don't know the
I
full
feel you
backstory.
on that.
Like you
I
weren't there.
I totally can't stand this VCV rack controversy stuff that's going on because
Yeah, we talked about this.
yeah, it just feels like, yo, why we airing out the dirty laundry like this? And how is there beef when you had and hey, and I met the dudes from VCV Rack a couple of years ago when VCV Rack came out. If they want to come on the show and talk about it, that's cool because I want to know if you put out this incredibly dope software
Mm-hmm.
um, for with a license that is
It's
open
open
source.
source.
How do
Yeah.
we get to a point where somebody use your open source to do what you could do with an open source license? How we get to a point where there's beef and
So I should probably
immorality and unethical stuff like maybe I just don't get it,
So
but
I should probably just real quick for the audience so they understand. So
yeah,
there were two articles that came out, right? One came from Andrew, the guy behind VCV Rack, and one came from Vitaly, the guy
Yeah.
behind My Rack, which is the iOS not VCV Rack, right? Which, for all intents and purposes, those of us who use VCV Rack,
It's VCV rack on
yeah,
iPad.
well, yeah, but it's so essentially, and I'm giving the very bare gist of it. There's two articles. Please just Google it, and I'm sure you can find it. You all are big boys now and big ladies, so you can figure out how to Google shit. But so essentially, I don't know the timeline. I think it was Andrew's article came out first, and then Vitaly's response came out, but I'm not 100% on that. So I'll just say this. So Andrew's article came out basically saying, here's my feelings on licensing was the title of it. He didn't even mention MyRack so much as he said licensing. And then he goes into what his open source licensing is for VCV Rack
Mhm.
and explains how it interacts with MyRack, right? So he basically says that VCV Rack up until version 0.6 was this one sort of open source code and everything was fine and dandy. But then as they moved towards 1.0, they switched it to a different open source license. Okay. And when he did that, that's that. There was a fork of development. Vitaly used the source code that was the old open source license, right?
That he was
And
allowed to
open
use.
source license, which means you can take that
everything
code
was legal,
and
is what
use
he's
it.
saying,
It's
right?
legal to use that code and make to build on it.
Right.
So anyway, so everything was legal, and in both articles they both state, everything was legal. The question though was about moral and ethics, right? Of it's not just whether or not it's legal, but are you doing right by the people and the intent, right? Is what it comes down to. And Grayscale, which is a Eurorack manufacturer and faceplate manufacturer and designer, is the guy who did all the artwork for VCV Rack. And apparently he had issue with the stuff that Vitaly was doing with my rack, saying that the artwork was too close. Vitaly saying like I'm kind of hamstrung on that because the source code is written in a specific way to where the knobs are in a specific placement, so my artwork has to look this way. So basically they were fighting back and forth about what was ethical, what was legal, and what was basically stealing and what wasn't, and where credit should lie, all that kind of good stuff, right? Keep in mind, my rack costs money, whereas VCV Rack is completely free unless you buy individual module packs, that sort of thing. So essentially, they both put their business out there on the internet, and they both put out their side of the story out there on the internet, and then the community is left to fight over it, right? To say, oh, well, you're an asshole if you use this software, or you're an asshole if you use this software, or I support this person, or I support that person, which, in my opinion, is lame on both sides because
Why not just use them both? You're gonna have a free one on your computer where you can buy the modules, and then if you want to use it on your iPad, then just buy it. I mean, the dude took his time to make that. He took his time to code this for the iPad, so all y'all motherfuckers that don't really have the modules can use it on your iPad.
So they both kind of present these arguments, right? And one person is presenting snippets of emails, and the other person is presenting their version of it, and they're both fighting over artwork and this and that. And it's like, at the end of the day, they're kind of leaving it out there for like, and even in some of the emails, they're kind of saying, oh, well, this will go out to the community. And we all know how reactionary the community is to begin with. And it's like, in my opinion, it's really ugly that the community is being left up to decide to decide these things in a way when realistically neither one was actually a party to the situation, and we're all only getting a quarter of the story from each person. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know what? At the end of the day, that is why things are legal and not legal. You know what I mean? And if you do have these problems, you should, and it's Myrax spelled with an M-I. I don't want to get it confused with Justin Myrax. Shout out Justin Myrax.
Yeah, so people go beating up Justin Myrax like, why are you messing with the modular dudes this way?
So at the end of the day, it's like, dude, when these type of issues come up, it's like, it's really not fair to leave it up to the layman community. Like, no, if there's a legit real issue, lawyer up. Like, and I know that that's an ugly thing to say too, because I know what's involved in that. I've been there. I've had my own products ripped off. You know what I mean? I've seen that happen. It's not pleasant. It's not fun. It makes you feel like shit. But at the same time, I'm not going out there and telling people not to use the product of mine that got ripped off. Like, I'm not doing that, because that's not my place, and it's not for the community to have to deal with.
So here's the thing.
Look, Derek is in there saying, hey, did Myrack violate the license? And again, it gets back to, that's not up for us to decide. That's for a court to decide. If by reading the two articles, I would say probably not. But I'm also not a lawyer, and I'm not a judge. So
no, it says in the article specifically that they didn't violate any license agreements.
Yeah,
by using that code.
Well, yeah, but also if you read, so that's from one side of the story, but if you read the emails from Grayscale, he was pretty pissed off, and it's like he might be saying a different thing. So again, like, I'm not in court, and I'm not going to play judge over these things, because I don't know these people personally. I'm not doing that. And I think it's crappy that they try to lay it on the community in a way to pit the community against itself like that is just whack.
Yeah, that is not cool by any stretch of imagination. And what I will say is, the discrepancy here is there a legal violation of the license? Doesn't seem that way. Is there some moral obligations being brought up, or some ethical obligations being brought up, ethical issues being brought up? Looks like that's what the real controversy comes down to. But the reality is, and any good lawyer could probably argue to the contrary, but in my mind, it seems like the reality is the dude used open source code to put out a commercial product.
Mm-hmm.
So whether or not that's a problem, I think you got to go read through the license, the open source license.
Yeah, the whole thing of, like, they kept referencing like the moral and ethical side of it, and it's like I kind of get it, because in Andrew's post he talks about how, like, in hindsight, I wish I hadn't have done it this way. I wish I had done
my thing. Boom.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, so you wish you had done it that way. That's an honest mistake. Like, move on. But now it's like out there in the community for the community to play this version of ethical judge, and I think that's just lame. Like, I don't like the idea of, like, pitting the community against each other.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think that it's right to air that kind of stuff out in public, especially if they started in a private email, like private discussions, and now
somebody got butthurt and was like, I'm putting this out to the community, pretty much.
It feels that way. It feels like watching, how all the reality shows have the reunions, and on all the reunions they end up fighting and sharing private emails and text messages. I'm like, how do we get here? Like, that don't make sense.
Right.
Y'all need to continue to have private discussions, and if it gets leaked out, I guess they feel some sort of obligation to let the community know. But the tough thing about that is that the community can draw conclusions that won't necessarily be right, and somebody can be demonized unfairly.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing is, it's like, the way that both of those things were left open was, it was like, it was left as very much like this is what happened and you can kind of decide. But I will say, to Andrew's credit, he made the article very much informative as far as, like, hey, this is how your licensing should be, and this is why I implore you to do your licensing as such. And that was a really good thing,
Hmm. No doubt. And
Yeah.
so I'd like to be able to close that out by saying, hey, there's no, for me, I'm not taking sides on that thing, but it's an interesting sort of situation. I probably would have handled it very different if I was in the situation. But mad respect to both of those camps because they brought something to market that is hugely beneficial to the communities.
Yep.
So that's between them to figure out what anything else is. Um, and yo, on that note, I think we've been on for let's see, I can't see. It's
Hour
been an hour and a
26.
half.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's close it out. If y'all got anything y'all want to pub up before we get out of
Let
here.
me close out first because my wife is giving me the look, and I got to get out of here. So let me just say,
What? Ken has to go.
yeah, man, we got pumpkin carving and stuff to get dealt with. So let
There
me
you
just
go.
say real quick, everybody stop being assholes and peace.
Word. Hey, and so yo, check out my B-Boy Tech Report Instagram because I'm gonna be doing a live stream on a radio station out in Pomona, California tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific. It'll probably be just like 20 to 30 minutes of a live stream mod that beat set. But yo, if you want to check it out, go on my YouTube, not YouTube, but go on my Instagram channel and you'll be able to see the information there in my story. So yeah, hope to hang out tomorrow with y'all.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. I'm out of here too. About to go eat some lunch. Might do a little live stream tonight later on. So I'll post that up on my IG page and let y'all know if I'm
Yo,
gonna do that. And
and your live
yeah,
streams always be cold.
thanks, bro. Appreciate
All
that.
right, bro.
All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all have a good day. Have a good weekend.
All right, peace, everybody.